Hello, eighth grade remote students. Welcome back. This is Act One, Scene Four now. Before we start, I'm going to do what I always do and do a little review first, because as we know, Romeo and Juliet is tricky, so we want to make sure that we know what's happening. Um, We've got the Capulets and Montagues. They're in a feud. We know already that Romeo and Juliet um, kill themselves. They fall in love and they eventually kill themselves because of the feud. So let's look at Act One. So scene one. There's a fight in the street. The prince sentences the families to death if they don't stop fighting. We meet Romeo. He is in love with Rosaline, but she's a nun, wants nothing to do with him. He's heartbroken, kind of being a dramatic little baby. Scene two, we are in the Capulet mansion, and Paris asks Capulet, Juliet's father, for Juliet's hand in marriage. Capulet tells him that he needs to wait. Capulet then invites Paris and some other citizens of Verona to his party. He does not intend to invite the Montagues because remember, they are enemies. Romeo and Benvolio help. They happen to see Peter, a Capulet servant, in the street, and they help him read the guest list. And they hear that Rosaline is going to be at this party, so they decide they're going to crash the party to see Rosaline. Next up is scene three, and in scene three, Lady Capulet, with just Juliet's mother, and the nurse, which is really Juliet's mother, like her actual bonded mother, ask Juliet if she wants to marry Paris. She is not really interested in being married, and she's very unsure about Paris. He's much older, remember. The nurse goes on a long rant about breastfeeding. We meet her and kind of see how goofy she is. At the end of the scene, the party starts, and they ask Juliet to look upon Paris's face and see if she could marry him. So now we are going to go through scene four of Act One. So this is a scene in which um, Romeo and his buddies are on the way to this party. They're on the way to crash the Capulet party, but remember they are not supposed to go. So they are crashing this party. So this is outside the Capulet Manor. It's night. I would say this is kind of in the street on the way to their house on the way to the party. So the people that we have in this scene are Romeo, our heartbroken main character. We have Benvolio, who is Romeo's cousin and best friend. And we're going to meet a new character this scene named Mercutio. He is my personal favorite character. He is the cousin of the prince, but he is also another one of Romeo's best friends. Mercutio is a funny character. He's a goofball. He's a joker. He likes to mess around a lot, and he especially likes to make fun of Romeo. All right, let's get started. So in the beginning, we have Romeo here, Benvolio, and Mercutio. They're all wearing masks. So I forgot to mention this earlier, but they are not allowed to go to the Capulet party. This is called a masquerade. So everyone at the party is wearing masks. This is especially helpful for Benvolio and Mercutio and Romeo because they're not supposed to be at this party. So these masks are hiding their faces so they are able to attend this party without being seen. So that's a really important part. They're carrying a torch and a drum. They're kind of messing around, playing some music on their way to the party. Romeo starts off. He says, "What shall we say is our excuse for coming hither?" Mercutio, see, he's like, "What shall we say when we come here, like to this party? Like, what's our excuse going to be?" Mercutio says, "We need not say anything to excuse our entrance. Let them measure us how they will. We'll measure them a measure, then be gone." So Mercutio says, "Let them judge us however they want. We'll dance for them, and then we'll leave. And we'll just have a good time, and then we'll leave." Excuse me. Romeo, he's on the way to this party. He doesn't want to go. He's still heartbroken. He says, "Give me the torch. I am not for this dancing. My soul is heavy, for I shall but bear the light." He says, "I'm not going to have fun at this party. I'm just going to go and I'm going to be miserable there because I'm heartbroken." Mercutio says, "Nay, Romeo, you must dance. No, Romeo, you must dance." Romeo says, "Not I. Believe me, you have dancing shoes with nimble soles. I have a soul of lead, which stakes my soles to the ground, so I cannot move." So he is talking about how his heart is full of lead, and he cannot dance because he's so upset and heartbroken about Rosaline. He's still being a baby. So on their way to the party, Romeo and Mercutio are going back and forth. Romeo's depressed. Mercutio's trying to get him to like have fun and enjoy the party, and he's trying to say, "You should dance when we get there." And Romeo is not having it. Mercutio continues to give Romeo a hard time. He says, "You are a lover. Borrow Cupid's wings and soar with them." Romeo says, "I am too sore from being pierced with his arrow to soar with his wings. I cannot rise above my woe. Under love's heavy burden do I sink." He's saying, "I'm just too heartbroken. I'm not going to have fun at this party. There's just no way that I'm going to like enjoy this party." Mercutio answers, "It is you who burdens love. Your judgment is too great an oppression of such a delicate thing." He says, "You're the one making yourself miserable. You are taking this too seriously and you're making yourself too upset about it." Romeo says, "Is love a tender thing? It is too rough, too rude, too rowdy, and it pricks like thorn." This is a simile here, pricks like thorn. He's saying how rough love is and how he just can't get over this fact that this woman won't have him. Mercutio says, "If love be rough with you, be rough with love. Prick love for pricking, and you beat love down. Give me my mask." So he gives him his advice: fight for your love. Don't let heartache beat you. So he says, "Come on, dude, like get over this. Heartbreak can't beat you." Benvolio says, "Come, knock and enter. Once we get inside, every man take to his legs and dance." So we've got also on what Mercutio said here. He prick love for pricking. This is a double called a double entendre. This is a double meaning. So this refers to a rose, and he's also making a sexual comment here because that's what they do a lot in Shakespeare. So on their way to the party, Mercutio and Romeo are going back and forth bantering. Mercutio's kind of making fun of Romeo for being so heartbroken. Romeo goes on to say, "Let the light of heart tickle the floors with their heels. I'll be the torch holder and look on. We mean well in going to this masquerade, but 'tis no wit to go." He says, "I will carry the torch. I'm not going to dance. I'm not going to have a good time, but it's not smart that we go to this party." Mercutio says, "Why?" Romeo says, "I dreamt a dream tonight." Mercutio said, "So did I." Romeo says, "Well, what was yours?" Mercutio, "That dreamers often lie." Romeo, "They lie in bed asleep, but dream things true." Mercutio, "Oh then, I see Queen Mab hath been with you." Romeo says, "Queen Mab, who's she?" So basically, they're on their way to the party, and Romeo says it's not a good idea to go to this party. And Mercutio's like, "Why? Like, what are you talking about?" He says, "I had a dream that something bad is going to happen at this party." Mercutio is now going to go on kind of a rant here about this Queen Mab. So this is kind of an interesting thing. Queen Mab is a little fairy that it's a story about a little fairy who travels into people's noses at night and like flies into their nostrils, and makes them fall in love. So this is kind of like a fairy tale that he's about to tell. He's making fun of Romeo for being such a lover and being in love and being heartbroken and being dramatic by telling this little tale of this little fairy called Queen Mab. And so that's what he's about to go on. In the actual play, it's much longer, but I cut it down a little bit for this. So this is just a little fairy tale that he is using to make fun of Romeo. Mercutio says, "She is the fairy's midwife, and in shape she is no bigger than a gemstone in a ring. She comes in a chariot, pulled by tiny creatures, and runs across the noses of men as they lie asleep." So this is a little fairy, and she visits men in the middle of the night and makes them fall in love with women. And he's making fun of Romeo by saying that this little fairy has visited him and turned him into a lover. Her wagon spokes are made of spider legs. I'm right here, just so you know. The cover of the wing of grasshoppers. Her chariot is a hazelnut shell. She gallops night by night through lovers' brains, and then they dream of love. She rides o'er ladies' lips, and they dream of kissing. Then Mab plagues their lips with blisters. This is the hag who, when maids lie on their back, presses them and teaches them how to bear children. So basically, all you need to know is kind of a weird little rant that he goes on, but he's just rambling, making fun of Romeo, using this little fairy tale to make fun of Romeo for being such a dramatic, heartbroken dude. So he goes on for a while, and Romeo says, "Peace, peace, Mercutio, peace. Thou talk'st of nothing." He's like, "Okay, dude, shut up. Stop talking." Mercutio goes on, "True, I talk of dreams, which are the children of a lazy brain, born of nothing but silly fantasy, as thin as the air and more inconstant than the wind, which woos the frozen north and turns angrily away and moves to the humid south." So he's just continuing to talk about dreams and talk about Queen Mab and making fun of Romeo. Last slide. Benvolio interrupts them. He says, "This wind you talk of blows us off course. Supper is done. We have come too late." He says, "All right, are we going to the party or what? You guys are messing around in the streets, making fun of each other, joking around, goofing off. Let's get to the party." Romeo says, "I fear too early. I sense that something bad is written in the stars that shall start with tonight's revels and end with my untimely death. But fate shall steer me onward, gentlemen." Benvolio ends, "Strike drum." I want to take a look back at this really quick. So this is some foreshadowing. It's kind of interesting. So Romeo, I'm actually going to write this over here. Romeo is talking about his, he has a dream basically that um, tonight after this party, he thinks something bad is going to happen. And he thinks that whatever happens is going to end in his untimely death. So he thinks that um, because of whatever happens tonight, he's going to die early. And we already know that he is correct. We already know that he is going to die because of tonight. He's going to meet you know who tonight at the party, and eventually that's going to lead to his death. So, right here, we have some foreshadowing on the part of Romeo. He is thinking that he's going to die in the future. So they finish up the scene and they are headed to the party. Our next scene is at the party. So really quick before I leave, we're going to take some notes. So go back to your notes document, Romeo and Juliet notes, go down to scene 4, and I want you to write the following. So Mercutio, Benvolio, and Romeo and other friends, sorry, it's delayed, um, walk to the party. Mercutio, I'm going to say masquerade to remind you that they're wearing masks because they have to hide themselves. Mercutio makes fun of Romeo for being in love and heartbroken. He does his famous, I'm sorry, I can tell there's going to be errors already. I'll fix it. He does his famous Queen Mab speech. Um, they go, they arrive at the party. It's kind of hard to type when you can't see what you're typing. Um, Great. So this is scene 4. Quick scene, friends walking down the street, making fun of Romeo, and they're on their way to the party. And we've got one of the famous speeches of the play. And they're about to go to the party. So next up is the party scene. I will film that and I will put it on the doc. Great job. Keep it up. You're doing awesome. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you for the next video. Thanks.